Hi, Gumby here at Heroes Martial Arts. Today I'm going to show you a way to drill the cross-collar choke that doesn't involve you getting choked out 100 times in a row. Now, first of all, I'm going to say that the cross-collar choke is one of the most classical of the fundamental attacks. It's usually the first lesson that we learn as jiu-jitsu, the first submission that we learn when we do gi jiu-jitsu, but it's actually really horribly named. Why? Number one, if you want to be that person, technically it's not a choke, it's a strangulation. What's the difference? On a choke, it's assuming I'm not getting air in and out of your lungs, okay? You can't breathe. If I got a piece of broccoli or cake stuck in my throat, I'm choking to death there. Most of the time when we talk about chokes in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we're actually talking about strangulations, or sometimes known as blood chokes, okay? What I'm doing is I'm constricting the carotid arteries, I'm restricting the flow of oxygenated blood into the head, and I'm causing somebody to go unconscious that way, okay? Or get into submission that way, okay? On a choke, theoretically you can survive a choke, not being able to take air into your lungs, for however long you can hold your breath in that circumstance, okay? However, on a strangulation, your brain can take 5-10 seconds maximum of not getting oxygenated blood flowing to the brain before it goes unconscious, okay? Before it shuts down and goes to other stuff. Again, most of the time we're talking about strangulations, not chokes. The other reason why this is badly named is when I say cross-collar choke, it seems to imply that it's the collars doing the work in making the choke. That's not the case on this. It's actually the forearm. I want you to visualize that your forearm is a lot like a sword, okay? English European style, not a Japanese one. Whereas in the sense that I have a flat, and an edge, and an edge on each side right there, okay? I want to go ahead and work with the thinnest part of my forearm, just below my wrist, okay? We'll call that the sharp edge of the sword. We're going to go ahead and put against the weak point of the neck, or the carotid artery. If you don't know where your carotid artery is, it's the place where you would take your pulse, or somebody else's pulse. I'm going to go ahead, bring my first cross-collar grip in. I hate to use the word deep. I'm going to keep my wrist straight. I'm going to bring this in. So I've taken the slack out of the collar, and the sharp point of the sword is against the weak point of the neck. Okay? Keeping my wrist straight, I'm going to go ahead, move over to the side a little bit, and I'm going to go palm down on this. Again, it's an English-style sword, okay? So I have an edge on both sides. Sharp point of the sword against the weak point of the neck, and sort of chop it into place, getting my placement down. Grip whatever's convenient, in this case a big fold of fabric. And if you bought the analogy that this is a sword and this is a sword, what does this resemble? If you said scissors or garden shears, you're onto something right now. So I don't actually think choke or strangle at this point. I think cut. As I'm going to bring my fists together, my elbows pulled down into my rib cage, this V gets smaller, and I'm going to cause a strangulation. Get my first grip, sharp point of the sword against the weak point of the neck. Wiggle, palm down in this case. Blade of my wrist against the carotid artery. I'll go ahead and press it in. Make my grip. Fists together, elbows back, cut. And if I have my positioning correctly, it doesn't take a lot of force to finish that off. Okay. 30, 40 pounds on the carotid artery, I don't know who measured that, is enough to put somebody to sleep or tap them out. A small child could actually put you out if they had this technique correctly down on this. I'm going to aim for the carotid arteries, the same place that I would take your pulse. Okay. But I'm going to hit it with a thin part of my wrist right here. Okay. The thin part of my forearm actually just below my wrist. Having the hands curled in, bring it in. You'll notice wrist is straight, fingers curled in, sharp point of the sword against the weak point of the neck. Make my adjustment. Same thing, palm down. Fists together, elbows back. And with accuracy, doesn't take a lot of force to finish that off. First grip in, wiggle, chop. Notice when I put the blade of my wrist against the neck and the grab is only here to reinforce this placement, okay? It doesn't do me any good to get the placement of my wrist down and then lose it when I make my grip. I'll actually be a little bit aggressive right here, pressing in, grab, and then make my motion to finish them off. Now when drilling this, you don't necessarily want to take a number of chokes in a row. The actual important thing for doing this drill is how quickly and readily you can get your first grip in accurately in order to execute the technique. So what I'm going to do is I'll start off hands here, or maybe I'm going to go ahead and hold a little bit low on the collar right now. I like to make a hook grip here with my hands, and I like to have this on the collar so I'll readily move up and down the collar. Okay? Now what I'll do is I'll fire my hand from the low position right here to the high position, again, working to get the blade of my wrist against Trevor's neck. Notice when I do this, I want to follow along the path of the neck, so the inside, and not along the path of the collar, which will lead me out. So I'll start low, fire this off like an uppercut, and go not necessarily as deep as I can go. I'll go till I hit the back of the fabric. I'll go to the point where my wrist is going to want to flex outwards here. Once I've gone that far, once I've hit that barrier, I've known that I've gone as far as I need to go, okay? And in which case, I'll tighten up my grip, curling my fingers into my palm, and I'll have a tight grip on the collar. I'll straighten out my wrist, and the blade of my wrist should be against the neck. Okay? I can go ahead now, once I have that first grip in, or once I've established the grip, make my adjustment, wiggle, chop, palm down, blade of the wrist on the pinky side against the carotid artery, grip, bring myself in, and get the choke. Playing with a cross collar grip, I'm going to make a hook out of my hands and have it along the back of the collar this way. Okay? I'm going to have a relatively loose grip, so this is going to allow me to slide up and down. Okay? Keeping my wrist straight, going along the path of the blade of my wrist against the neck, I'll go ahead and fire this off until I hit the back of the fabric, until my wrist starts bending. Once my wrist starts bending, I know I've gone just far enough, and I'll pull my fingers into my palm, solidifying this grip so Trevor doesn't go anywhere. And without even thinking about it, that's a good cross-collar grip right there with the sharp point of the sword against the weak point of the neck. Now again, not wanting to have anybody take multiple chokes in a row, that first drill, the first portion of getting that grip in, is a worthwhile drill. So we can go ahead and start off right hand first, or left hand if you're left-handed, fingers curled around the lapel. We've seen? I'll go ahead. One, good grip. Then I'll release it and come back opposite hand, left hand in this case, fingers curled around the lapel, and now fire this off, get my grip in. Sharp point of the sword against the weak point of the neck, wrist straight, and taking the slap off. One, two. One, two. One, two. With practice, you can go ahead and get this quickly and accurately, and I don't really need to use sight to be able to get my initial cross-collar grip in. This is a feel type of exercise. Every so often, as I've done this, say every 10th or 20th time, I go back and forth here, I can go ahead and execute the choke. And then it'll be my partner's turn to go ahead and do the same thing back to me. And go ahead and go back and forth with this. One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. Now, an advanced version of the cross-collar grip drill is doing it from a very common position to do this, the closed guard. Usually speaking, I'm going to start off with a low grip right here, which is a dangerous grip for Trevor to allow happen, but it's not going to set up the same bells and whistles that if I had a high grip. Okay? Most people, most experienced practitioners, if they have good posture, are never going to let you do this. So I can combine two drills in one. I'll start off low here. I'm going to go ahead and break Trevor's posture down, primarily using my core, primarily using my legs. And you'll notice that as his posture comes down, my hand shoots up into the great cross-collar choke position. Wrist straight, blade of the wrist against the neck, and I like to glue the elbow down in the midsection. Again, going with the opposite hand for a better view, my fingers are curved around the collar at a low spot right there. Again, no grip that I get on Trevor is going to be friendly, but he'll fight this one a lot less than he'll fight this higher one. Again, when I break him down, it's primarily core and legs, and my hand actually shoots up, not pulls down on this. So I break this posture down, and you'll see the hand goes into the collar. Quickly and accurately, sharp pointing the sword against the weak point in the neck. I'm going to do this a few times, get a feel for that, and then every so often, I can go ahead, add the wiggle, chop, blade of my wrist against the neck, get the grip, and finish off the cross-collar choke. As you get good at this drill, as you get good at this technique, the idea is, well before the Trevor or my opponent is settled into their broken posture in the guard, you can drill this to the point where they'll be tapping pretty much as they hit you. So I'll demonstrate this in full speed. I'll start off low. I'll use my core and my legs to break him down. My hand comes up, and as he 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 comes up, I've already brought him into a cross-collar choke, and I've already got him tapping before he knows what hits him. And that is the cross-collar choke drill, okay? You can work this with an experienced practitioner or even somebody that hasn't done this before. Thanks for tuning in.